Hello and welcome to Modern Toyfare Reviews. Today I'm taking a look at the Neca online exclusive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Oooze, Tokka and Rahzar figures. Let me know in the comments below if you were able to get these back when they were put in August, or if you're on the hunt for them now. And let's go ahead and get started. Alright, first up we're going to take a look at the sculpt and paint. We're going to start with Tokka. So you'll notice his big red eyes, you've got the eyebrows, you've got his snout because he's a snapping turtle. You've got some teeth coming out of his mouth. If you open his mouth, you'll notice some teeth and then that big red, like maroonish tongue. And then throughout like his neck and head, all the way back to his shoulders, there's all these wrinkles along with like painted on spots. He's also got these spikes protruding from his shoulders, more spots going down through his arms. You've got the elbow pads with all the ties and the different textures, which are really well done. You've got the wrist ties with the pieces hanging off of it, which are really nice textured and painted. Even like his hand with that glove, it's a different texture than his fingers, so it actually looks like it's like a leather glove. And then his nails have some paint to them to kind of give him a little more depth, which is really cool. Front of his shell has all these like blotches on it, which look basically like what a turtle shell would look like in my opinion. And then down through his legs, you've got more of those spots. You've got the muscles with some shading in there to make them kind of really pronounced. You've got the knee pads, which look a lot like the elbow pads. You've got those giant calves. And then down on his feet, you've got these wrinkles and stretches and knuckles to his toes. And then the big long claws. Again, great paint job to really kind of make those stand out. And then the dangerous part. The back of this looks incredible. You've got all these spikes. They feel like each one's individual. Like you can actually kind of move them around in their spot. You've got all the textures and like cuts throughout his shell itself. I will say it's very, very sharp though, so be very careful. I actually stabbed myself about 3 times while preparing for this review, so it's not a fun time to be had by all. But let's put him back over here, and we'll grab Rahzar. There we go. So first thing you'll notice is those big blue eyes, and then it's got his snout, got his teeth, which are all like rotten and gross, and then you've got open his mouth, and you've got that kind of dark red tongue. You've got all the fur on the sides of his face, and it actually wraps all the way around. You've got his ear, which has kind of got some like fly-offs of the fur and everything. And then the hair kind of continues to get really like messy throughout the back, which is kind of nice. And then his shoulder pads are rubber, which is nice because they won't get in the way. You've got some nice textures and the metal pieces. And then you've got his chest piece, which is the grill to a car. And it actually moves around and everything. And it's on like chains instead of just being molded to it, which is really cool. My favorite thing though is this. They took and actually did the tire tread for the tire pieces for his wrists and leg armor. And it's got like the nails coming out of it. Did a really great job. His loincloth even, like, it's got the leather overlap and then the normal cloth, and they made it different textures so it stands out. His knee pads are really well done. You've got the fur going down through his legs, all the way down to his feet. You've got those big toe knuckles. You've got the claws, which again, they've just really nailed it with the way they did the claws on these figures. Like even like on the fingers, I can see all the different like markings and everything. If you spin them around, you'll notice those chains, great textures and sculpt with the fur. They really knocked it out of the park with these two. Next up is Articulation. So again, we'll start with Tokka. So the first thing we'll look at is his head. Got quite a bit because he does have a joint at both the neck and the head, so you can get quite a bit left and right, which is great. A lot of up, and even quite a bit down. So really expressive there. And then speaking of expressive, we got the eyebrows, which are articulated, and those you can do like his kind of like worrisome sad face. And you've got his snout, which does move up and down. His mouth opens. The torso, instead of having like a crunch, it has more of like a pivot, so you can kind of shift him around a little bit. So it gives him a little bit of motion, but it's not really relevant to the like posing in my opinion. The Shoulders don't go up very far because of the spikes, but you can get them pretty far forward and pretty far back before you run into his shell. You do have the bicep swivel, and then of course you have the double jointed elbows that swivel. I will say I heated him up, and it's still pretty tight, so be very careful, like most NECA figures. And then wrist, as always, forward and back, and swivels all the way around. Leg, decent amount out, not a whole much further than that. It does have a little bit of a pivot at the upper thigh, at where the ball joint is. And then the knees do have a similar joint to the elbows, but even then, you have to really struggle, and that's about as far as I can get mine, which isn't bad by any means, especially considering what these guys did in the movie. Ankles go all the way out, pretty far forward, and then, like most of the turtles, you can twist them to the point where it looks like you broke their ankle. So, overall, not too bad for Tokka. Let's check out Rahzar now. Let me get him back in position. So, Rahzar, you will notice he isn't quite as articulated in the head. He can tilt a little bit side to side to kind of make him looking different directions. You can get a decent amount up, but not a lot down, and that's mostly just because his fur and his chest kind of blocks the way there. You do have the mouth that opens. It doesn't open quite as much as Tokka's, but it's still nice. And then arms. Again, can't get them too far up there, just, normal. You got the waist pivot, which you can get pretty far side to side, forward, and then back. So quite a bit of range of motion there. So we can get, that's about as far as you can get the arms up though. And forward and back is a little hindered because of the shoulder pads, but they are rubber, so they don't get like too much into the way. And then again, you've got the NECA double jointed elbows that pivot. I will say, even after heating him up, I can't get that second joint on either arm to go, so I'm not going to push it. And again, you've got the wrist joints forward and back, twists all the way around, and legs go about the same as Tokka out. You do have that same kind of weird pivot on the ball joint, so you can get different angles out of it. And then same knee joints, you can get quite a bit. You just gotta kind of work with it. And as far as the ankles go, you get quite a bit down, decent amount up, and you can break their ankles. So overall, both are pretty great. A little hindrances here and there, but they're big boys, so it's understandable. Alright, on to accessories. First up are the hands. So we do have a alternate pair of kind of closed fists. There's a little bit of a gap, but I think that's just because the hands are so big and the fingers so long that they aren't going to close all the way. But like, really great detail, just like the hands that came on it. Then we've got the other pair of gripping hands. These ones, one of them is a little wider, so you can hold things like the log and the fire extinguisher. The other one's a little smaller, so it can fit the lead pipe in it. And then we've got Rahzar's hands. Same idea. You got the kind of big open, and then the more like kind of closed. Let me show you. There we go. These ones are a little more just kind of weird finger expressions. And then you've got the hubcap shield, which is really well done. They did a great job making it kind of look rusted, which I like. It does have these little hooks that kind of wrap around the arms, which makes it kind of easy. Then you've got the log, which I'm going to say right now, this thing is so well done. It looks like they went out in the woods and just broke off a chunk of a tree and sent it with it. Like, they did a fantastic job with the textures and the sculpt. Like, I'm super impressed with how well that looks. Next up is the lead pipe. So this, great job with the different shading and everything to kind of make it look a little roughed up. It has some nicks and some scratches. I can't quite see all the way through it though, but it's still pretty nice. And then you do have a canister of Oooze with the TGRI logo on there. It's got that bright, vibrant green. the silver to the canister. Turned out really cool. One of my favorite accessories is the fire extinguisher. And this thing's great. It's got the little like how-to label. You've got the actual like cord, and it's that way you can have them like holding it. It's a really cool accessory. I'm glad they included it. And then my actual favorite is the Simply Donuts box, which fantastic job. It's actually like a little bit of cardboard, like a real thick paper, I guess. And then you do have a set of donuts in there. And of course it's missing one because you get the smashed donut with the retro mutagen ice cube in it. So really cool. We knew this was coming with it. It still looks really cool in person though. So I'm real happy with all the accessories we got. All right, quick height comparison here. First we have Tokka Rahzar next to the Mezco Supreme Knight Batman. As you can see, quite a bit of a height difference there. And then Tokka is shorter than Rahzar. If you look over here with Leo, quite a bit of difference between him and Rahzar, but not much between him and Tokka. So I feel like they should have been a little bit bigger, but they're still pretty thick. Alright, normally I'd show you guys the entire box art, but I'm just going to show you the back just because this thing was so hard to get and it was too poorly lit. I didn't feel comfortable putting it in here. But I did want to show you something cool. I didn't know it was coming with it, and that is the insert, which kind of works a lot like the musical mutagen tour that they did. But you've got this like kind of warehouse docks background that you can set up in your shelf. So if you want it either in your shelf or you want to cut it up and just have like the back, it's kind of a cool option. Alright, so overall, these were well worth the wait. If you got these when they were pre-ordered back in August, you waited and waited until they started shipping in November, and then they slowly kind of made their way out to people over the holiday season. They definitely knocked it out of the park. I'm very happy with just the general way they turned out. I love the accessories they came with. This was definitely one of NECA's better turtle sets. I still like some of the Toon Turtle ones better, but that's just personal preference because I'm a bigger fan of the Toon Turtles. I will say I mostly got this because I do want to turn Tokka into a kind of movie-inspired Slash based off of the IDW and the 2012 cartoon version of Slash, so hopefully that'll turn out pretty well. But yeah, I must say that this was a great set, and if you don't have these, as much as I'd hate to see, people get them from scalpers, try to find yourself a deal because they are definitely a must for your turtle collection. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's video. As always, if you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe. Hit the little bell to get notifications when our videos go up. We have Modern Toyfare reviews on Mondays and Modern Toyfare news with me and Jamar on Fridays. If you want to support the channel, there's a little link below for tpublic.com. It takes you to our store. We have all sorts of different shirts and mugs, phone cases, pillows, all sorts of stuff with our logo on it, or just other designs that I've worked up in Photoshop, so feel free to give those a look. Also, make sure to check us out on social media. Twitter and Instagram are at Modern Toyfare. We do currently have a giveaway going on, so also check out Modern Toyfare News to hear more about that. Hopefully we'll see you next week, same toy time, same Toyfare channel. Thanks for watching.